Can you notice loneliness? The artists connected to these two groups defined the style of Expressionism in art. So let's talk about Die Brücke, or the bridge, created in 1905. The bridge was founded by artists Carl Schmidt-Rottluff, Fritz Bleyl, Erich Heckel and Ernst Ludwig Kirchner. The name of the group was taken from the writings of the famous German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who famously wrote, "What is great in man is that he is a bridge and not an end." And this artistic bridge of our expressionists was supposed to represent a path between the present and the future, and a path between the artist and the viewer. These expressionist artists showed what it was like to live in a modern city with all the angst that this life could carry with it. Like in Kirchner's 1908 work Street Dresden, we see a crowded street city that screams intensity. And the bold colours Kirchner used helped make the scene seem even more extreme. The sidewalk is painted pink, and we can assume that it probably wasn't pink in real life. The same goes for the faces of the two women. They also often portrayed nudes, but in a new, modern way. The poses in these often sexually charged images seem casual and natural. Lying in a slightly including Fauvists or Cubists, the German expressionists were inspired by non-Western art that was known as primitive art. Kirchner was inspired by the art created by the native artists of Africa and Oceania that he saw at the Ethnological Museum in Dresden, while Emil Nolde, another member of the bridge, also visited the Ethnographic Museum in Berlin frequently. Unfortunately, the bridge group was short-lived and it disbanded just before the start of World War I. Now, let's travel to Munich, where Der Blaue Reiter, or the Blue Rider, was born. The Blue Rider was active from 1911 until 1914, and it was founded by the famous Russian artist Wassily Kandinsky. The name of the group was inspired by a frequent motif we see in Kandinsky's works, a horse rider. Horses were also seen in works of another Blue Rider member, Franz Marc. The group consisted of two other Russian artists, Alexei von Jawlensky and Marianne von Werefskin, and German artists like Paul Klee and August Macke. Kandinsky, who had the gift of synesthesia, wanted to explore the ways in which music affected spiritual states, so he started painting visual equivalents to music by abstract in the works of artists Oskar Kokoschka and Egon Schiele. Schiele, in particular, was mentored by none other than the famous Austrian artist Gustav Klimt. Focusing mainly on portraits and self-portraits, Schiele often showed the problems of the psyche, the anxiety of the individual, and raw sexuality that was considered shocking. We can notice all of these things in his painting called Seated Male Nude from 1910. In what happens to be a self-portrait, we see an expressive, intense, almost disturbing idea of one's body. Another Austrian painter connected to Viennese Expressionism was a man called Oskar Kokoschka. Kokoschka also...
Kokoschka. It's a funny name. Kokoschka. Hmm.